I don't think locally there was
That's
that
good, you know
recognition of how that service level is going to equate to something that's going to.
Now officially, I'll call the meeting to order. It has become 1900 hours, 7 p.m. Welcome everybody to the July 13th board meeting. I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Okay, Trustee Bingham,
Present.
Trustee Duncan,
He will be here. He'll be late.
okay, Trustee Brendan. Here. Trustee Mansell. Here. Trustee Mitchell.
Here.
And Trustee Saylor.
Here.
Okay, now we'll have a pledge of allegiance as usual, and I would ask you to remain standing for a brief moment of silence to honor our war heroes. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. The chair will make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Bingham. It consists of the meeting from the June 8th, minutes from the June 8th meeting, plus the monthly bills, vouchers, and journal entries. Does anybody wish A or B to remove for the consent agenda for further discussion? Hearing no request, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Public comment on agenda items. Do we have anybody online?
Scott Stewart and Scott Drew.
Okay, either you gentlemen wish to speak?
Scott Drew, that's negative.
What do you say?
Negative.
Chief, are you on vacation this week, as your email said?
Yes, I am.
It just begs me to ask you, what are you doing?
I'll be tuning out after public safety, but thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be up in Maine the first week or second week of August, and when the vice president runs the meeting, I won't be tuned in. I can get
That's quite all right.
hi to Julie for me.
Will do.
Okay, special order of business tonight under the president's report is to honor not only my cousin, but Chief Retired Patrick Arndt. Yeah. I'm going to say thank you again, and I really mean it, Patrick, okay? So without any further ado, the vice president of the village board and the person that's worked with you for over 20 years, I'm going to ask him to do the presentation. Be honest with you, I don't think I'd make it through it. So if you would come forward up here already, and interim chief, after the presentation, I would ask you to come up also, because I'd like to get a picture of the three of you.
First, we got your coin. Thank you. Got a plaque for Chief Arndt for 33 years in recognition of his appreciation. It's from the village board. I'd just like to say thank you for all the work that you've done. And if you ever need anything, just let us know. Enjoying retirement.
Chief Leverett, you want to come up so we get a gang picture for the post office?
You got any words to say? Got anything to say?
Just thank you. 33 years serving the village. I was there. It was my life. And I miss it a little bit, but I'm not out of it completely. I'm helping some other departments with their ongoing situations. And so I'm still in the EM emergency services. But I appreciate the Police and Fire Commission. I appreciate the board. I appreciate everything that everybody's done for me. And I miss it, but yet I don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
for you. You roll your chair back.
Oh, am I?
Not
Yeah,
this chair,
but
this chair.
This picture cannot go in the post office, no. I'm well known by the FBI.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric. All righty.
Thanks, Patrick. You all have good meetings.
Yeah, yeah.
Chief retired now, you're more than welcome to stay, sir.
Thanks for coming.
All righty, committee reports. Airport Commission's coming first tonight, but we're not going to go through the copy that you have of the commission proceedings for May, because with us tonight is Jeremy Sickler, our airport manager. You've all met Eric. You all met Jeremy before, and I'm trying to get back, and he has agreed to every quarter, every 3 months, to have him back in here to keep you really updated on what's going on over at the airport. So Jeremy, without any further ado, you can stand up or sit down or whatever you wish to do, sir.
If you don't have a preference, I'll stay right where I am. Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be back. It seems like it's certainly been over a year since I've been here, so it's certainly overdue. What I gave you was the top 3 sheets were 2020 year end, or a report through August. This is actually something that I submitted to the county for their portion of the financial support of the airport. When I presented to them in September of last year. So this isn't year end, as you'll see on the second and third page. A lot of the figures are through year to date through August. I guess the 2 main big projects on here, of course, those are done now. If any of you haven't seen or been by the airport recently, the big hangar that's almost impossible to miss as you go around the corner there at First and 2 Mile. That's the hangar that was completed in 2020, and the full-length taxiway. And we get numerous comments about, certainly those pilots who brought back golfers consecutive years, seeing the phases of this project. And now I certainly will say that not having a bunch of lousy equipment and big piles of dirt out there feels pretty good, because there were some years that when you do have runways and taxiways torn up and you got to reroute things, it got to be a little bit of a logistical challenge for a couple of years. But it's nice that it's complete and we get a lot of comments on it. So mentioned in this 2020 report, and now this is what's ongoing now starting in 2021, is with all of this FAA money that they've helped us in our development. Of course, there's obligations. The biggest obligation is that with the infrastructure that they help us pay for, now we're obligated to keep our approaches clear of obstructions, and for the most part, any trees that are existing or potentially current obstructions. So with the help of the State Bureau of Aeronautics and the FAA, monetary and consulting support, we're working on right now the worst end of the airport is the north end, which is around the sewage treatment plant. There's 33 parcels up there that have obstructions on that, anywhere from one obstruction to dozens. So, of course, depending on the distance and where they are in relation to the threshold of the runway. So we've identified the first 16, and the first 16 are probably the worst, or the nearest to the center line, where they're more likely to have higher penetrations. I'm not thinking I'm going to be a very popular person for a couple of years while this is ongoing. Luckily, we do have, like I said, some high-ranking and powerful entities on our side, and helping to ease the burden and ease the pain that the individual landowners are going to feel. It's amazing that one tree all of a sudden becomes the most important tree in the world when it's got to come down, and it's not at their behest. On the flip side of it, there's one guy who can't wait for his trees to get cut down. So I'm guessing he's got some problematic pine trees that are leaning over his house or something. So, I mean, that's going to be several years. Right now, it's going to take at least a year or two what will be called design, and that will be also working out the negotiating the contract with individual landowners, because what the first step is purchasing what's called navigation easement. Basically, the FAA is going to buy the airspace above your house. This will be a perpetual. The current landowner will get paid out for it, and it'll be on the deed perpetually, so that future purchasers should, if they've got a good title company, know that that's part of the deal, and then there will be a perpetual, the airport then will have the right to go on that property just like any utilities do and trim trees as necessary. So once all of the easements are in place, then it's construction, I guess you would say, or destruction, when we'll actually go back in and work out yet another agreement with each individual landowner to get what every individual landowner is going to have a different opinion on what they're going to want after it's gone, whether it be cut off at ground level, cut off at maximum height, any restoration done to their property. The Bureau goes on to work that out with them individually too, even so far as replacing high, tall growth trees with lower growth trees. So many year process, and it's just one that I'm glad I'm not too deeply involved in until we start having public hearings and things like that. Yeah, then I'm expecting tomatoes to be found. So so that'll be a big one. And then our fuel system replacement, that's a little bit easier one to encapsulate. Our existing 10,000 gallon jet fuel tank just isn't, the volumes that we move through in the summer, sometimes we get ourselves desperately low and actually ran out of fuel one time. So expanding the capacity, and both of the underground tanks are just turned 30 years old, which is a big red flag for insurance. Our insurance went up 50% from 2020 to 2021 at that date. So with those old tanks under there, it's a good, a couple good reasons to get them out. That's already been bid. A company out of Wausau got the project. It's about a $650,000 project for 2 new tanks, 2 new pump cabinets, and all the ancillary work that goes with it, 3-phase power. So, but that's one that is rather easy to encapsulate as opposed to the kind of nebulous obstruction removal project, which is going to be, I think that's going to be changing pretty much every time we have a meeting. So last year we had a list of projects and events. I'm not going to bother reading them all. You can take it home with you. A couple things that we acquired for with the new hangar. Of course, we didn't have a reliable, in my opinion, a reliable tug. Certainly, the tug that we had, the brakes were not good enough, especially if I'm pushing a 90,000 pound plane into a building. So the commission purchased a tractor that's now going to be used as a tug out there, and then of course other potential uses for it as well. If you look at 2020 versus 2019, just the revenues, this is of course again year to date in August, it should be no surprise that obviously 2020 was quite a ways below 2019. We had been on a pretty steep upward trajectory as far as revenue and activity went out there through 2020 or 2019 and then 2020. Happy to say that all in all, 2020, we only lost about 50% of revenue. When I've spoken with colleagues of mine at other airports, 50% is not a tremendous hit. I mean, there are other airports that got hit a lot harder than that, primarily depending on the type of traffic that they tend to host. 2020 was still more or less open in the summer for golf years. So while Sand Valley didn't offer everything that they typically would, there were still plenty of golfers that came in, to my surprise, thus keeping us ahead of what I might argue would be the average of what I've heard from other airports. Again, smaller airports, the commercial airports were a totally different consideration. But all in all, now, so that's page 2 and page 3. Now on to this, the last page is the 1 month snapshot manager's report that I take to the commission every month. Just give you the lowdown on the 2 development projects. One thing I'm noticing this month or this year already is that this June is back on pace with 2018 and 2019 numbers. So good to see. June especially was there. And I'm just kind of sensing it as well. But the demand is back, and it might even be higher than it was, than it might have been if it hadn't been for all these guys that couldn't come a year ago. So things are doing good at the airport as far as activity goes. We still do see, while we really hang our hat on the transient jet traffic and the Gulf traffic, we still continue to see people flying in to visit or work with or meet with local businesses. A couple here or nearby, of course, Verso and Urco, you guys are very familiar with them. They still use the airport. Just had Nine Dragons in today. Ocean Spray's in a couple times a year, along with several other entities that have some tie locally that use it for local business, not merely focusing on the Gulf traffic as the only reason, the main reason that we have the airport. And it just generally supports access to the area, and certainly it's a great asset, given all of the investment that's been done out there. It's a great asset, transportation infrastructure for the community. So, well, I don't know if I'm forgotten anything. Sure.
Well, go ahead.
I say it just, we also do have, or the commission has, when I say we, bear in mind, I'm speaking on behalf of myself and the commission, have offered many times for the buildings at the airport now, especially the big hangar, to be offered for community purposes and meetings. With the McMillan Library being closed due to COVID, we hosted a lot of community groups. There was a genealogy group. There was a group of ladies who tracked their, well, there's one genealogy, there are two genealogy groups, I guess. They tracked their genealogy back to Civil War, the American Revolution. They call themselves the Daughter of the American Revolution. And so a couple opportunities where the public was able to use this, non-aeronautical use of the airport, but a public support function. I'm guessing most of you, if not all of you, have heard about using the big hangar during the winter months for the COVID vaccinations. We had the commission, the health department, time and time again, great. Couldn't thank the commission enough for offering another facility, and I was pleased that it could be used for something like that, because there's probably many people in the community that would have never had any reason to come out to see the airport, but if they got their COVID vaccination there, then they might think to themselves, it's a reason for them to appreciate the airport, even though they might not ever set foot on a plane. So things like that are great. We always continue to offer that the buildings there are available for various meetings, functions. So by all means, keep it in mind if you're ever looking for a spot to host a meeting or a convention or something like that.
Okay, John, you want to go ahead?
Well, Jeremy actually covered it, but I got my COVID-19 vaccination out there. Really, I know the health department, you go in, you get a shot, you come out. I was very, very pleased with them, but I was also pleased with the availability of the airport. So kudos to you working with them to accomplish that. Do you do any private? When I say private, I thought somebody had a wedding reception out there.
Well, a couple of years ago, there was in the big old yellow building that when you're driving down First Street, you're heading south on First Street, you can see it from the road.
Yeah.
Alexander Field, I think it says up there. That was used a couple of years ago for a wedding. Recently, there was a request to use the big hangar for a wedding, and the commission just couldn't justify it because it's during September, which is our busiest month.
Yeah.
But there was a private hangar that was used as a venue for a reception out there. So while not organized, or the airport commission wasn't really involved, they approved the logistical parts of it and the parking and where the toilet trailer was going to go and stuff like that. All, of course, with just making sure it wasn't going to impede aeronautical use of the facility.
No, that's excellent.
But it was, so private hangars have been used. The request to use the big commission hangar was denied only because it was just a bad time of year. A wedding is going to be a 3-day, at least 3 days, at least a day of setup, the day of, and then at least a day of tear down. So to block it off for 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 days, and if we'd had to park a plane on the apron that really wanted to be in the hangar during that time, I think the commission felt they might have felt some heat if that would have been the case. So
Sure.
we have the commission has all offered, let's say beyond the middle of October, when our season dramatically decreases, busy season dramatically decreases, we might consider late fall weddings, early spring or winter wedding events out there.
Okay, Sue?
I just wanted to ask real quick, is there a pricing sheet then for what the commission charges? Or is that individual?
I guess my thought on it was, if we had a big plane in there that was gonna rent it for $500 a night, how could we justify charging any more than that for an event? So like $500, I mean, that would be what I would propose to the commission if somebody wanted to hold a 1-day event there and like an overnight type of thing. If we had a big plane there and charge them $500, why would we charge any different for an event? So, other than that, unfortunately, nothing else has come forward. We didn't charge the health department anything, of course. I mean,
Pierre?
Back on the obstruction removal, is there a formula that you go by? What, like as far as the distance around the airport,
Well,
a radius or?
yeah, well, there's, I'm gonna sound like an airport nerd now. There's a set of regulations where there's what are called artificial surfaces that from different parts of the airport, like runway edges, there's surfaces that go up at a diagonal from the runway edges, same under the approaches and under the departures, same thing. So really all they do is they survey those, they use equipment to survey those surfaces from, right from the field.
Right.
And they pretty much just kind of identify, okay, that when they're looking through their scope
Right,
or whatever
right.
it is, they're seeing that tree's an obstruction. They use LiDAR. Apparently LiDAR is accurate enough where they can pick up if there's a cluster of trees, or from one perspective, you might be looking at a cluster of trees. There might be one tree in front of you that you can see up near you, but up 2 miles beyond that, there might be another tree that is obstructed by the one in front of you. So LiDAR is used to find outlying
Right,
obstructions. Does that answer your question?
well,
or-
kind of.
Okay.
And then have any property owners been approached yet?
No,
Or
just,
might we anticipate port residents being affected?
No.
No, the bulk of these are rapids.
the only,
Everything around Nepco Lake for us, we were talking about that first time I was on the airport commission. There's nothing over there that, and Mr. Lucas has got 40 acres right off Sampson, and he's not involved at all.
when you look in that direction, the tallest thing on the horizon is the smokestack from a paper mill. And I believe that is not an obstruction, in which case anything,
Well, you can take control and get that out of there.
oh, with myself.
Get right on
Send
that.
the tree crew over there and get rid of so if that, I will look into that. Of course, but that's on the other end of the airport as well. Keep in mind, we're starting with the north end, because that's the most egregious, I guess you might say.
Okay, we're gonna have to move on. Jeremy, I thank you very much. And if you wanna write this down in your memory skills, or I know you have a magnetic memory, October 12th will be the next appearance.
Okay, and as always, if you wanna stop by, call, email, if you have any questions, if this brings up any more, if you look at it.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Our Parks and Recreation Committee kind of, but Public Works definitely, I would like to encourage the chairman of those committees to maybe go have a meeting out there.
Mhm.
And if you could possibly do it, give them a tour.
Yeah, I think it would be valuable for especially those to know which parts, just driving around the airport, this is where you're coming into Port Edwards, or even out on the airfield. Now you're in the Port Edwards end of the airport, and some of those landmarks, so for those folks, they know where that's at. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we used to have it really easy years ago, because if you saw the blue hangar 10 feet to the south was the line that lined up with the intersection of Whitrock and Sampson.
Oh, yeah.
And right 10 feet as you started the curve by Bullseye Country Club.
Yeah.
But now we got so many buildings that are already gone, see?
Yeah.
But I'm boring you with old tales.
Oh. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Jeremy,
Thank you
very
very
much.
Nice to see you.
Yep, you as well.
Okay, section B, joint board review for the TIF. Boz?
We had our annual meeting out at Pittsfield with the TIF committee. These are representatives from mid-state, from the county, finance director, and then we bring myself, Nakusa Bank president, and school superintendent. a purely bureaucratic administrative action. What I did enjoy about it is that the individuals did ask some very specific questions, that they were happy with our progress, the amount of money we have in there. We're not having challenges like some of the other people in there that were sweating bullets around their tables because they were either negative in their TIF accounts or they were not doing the projects that they were approved by the TIF people. So they were very happy with Port Edwards. And we look forward to the next year, same thing.
Well, that's good because I had a feeling last year before the last time we had it before you went, and we didn't have an administrator in place at that time, so I was drafted to go and, yeah.
They were sharpshooting your program.
Thank God for Mrs. Hahn because she whispered to me what I had to do as we walked through the whole thing. Okay, Chairman Bingham, Public Works, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was absent that particular meeting, but I did stay up to date. I did talk to Ben about the resident issue on the cemetery because I was involved in that even before the meeting. Ben and I met with her and thought we'd resolved it. Boz has been involved. Boz and Ben evidently, they, as you can see in the minutes, offered her some options. She took one, and hopefully she'll stay with that, Boz. But and you know, I think it was handled well by the village. You know, we did everything we could to try to work with her, and even though she's not a resident of Port Edwards, we were able to, I think, hopefully she left satisfied. Again, I think Eric asked me to put this on the agenda for the Public Works, if I remember, Eric. I don't know what the discussion was, but Wisconsin River Drive, as you know, I live on that road. There continues to be a lot of parking on that road. It doesn't bother me, but if it's no parking, it's no parking, you know, so, and it's a parking ticket, so I'm not gonna call and say there's a car parked on Wisconsin River Drive. It would be somebody, officer cruising that particular street to notice that. So I know, but a year, 2 years, they're gonna narrow that down. So then I think we'll have to get tougher on the enforcement of that. So
Parking will be gone then.
okay, it could just be completely gone. Oh, is that 2024?
We hope.
Have a meeting tomorrow about it.
Okay, all right, I know, yeah. Registration and infrastructure fee for road maintenance, continuing discussion. It's been discussed over and over and over, and thank you, Boz, for your patience on listening to all the angles on that. I know we had a resident send us a letter on, or an email. I think it went to all the board members. And go to you too, Boz?
Yes.
Regarding the pros and cons, I guess, mostly pros of wheel tax. I think that's still something as budget approaches, and Boz has mentioned that, that's something we will discuss, and that's a good time to do it. I'm open on to any discussion on that, so we'll see what happens there. Future agenda items again. Revenue, okay, basically budget type things is what I see there. Is that correct, everyone? Yes. And then we'll be meeting again this week, Thursday at 4 o'clock. So, and Sue opened that meeting and she closed that meeting. Thank you, Sue, for taking over for me. Any questions? Which I probably can't answer since I wasn't there, but we did win that night, so it was a good night.
We meet on the 22nd, right? Not the 15th.
What did I say?
Next week.
Oh, is it next week? I better go home and check my calendar.
You can come down here if you want.
Thursday, yeah, no, 22nd. I thought, wow, I got 2 meetings this week.
All right, thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Chairman Saylor, Public Safety, please.
The things out of sequence.
Yep. We had a meeting on 6th July. It was pretty short. Pretty much all we talked about for the fire department was some payroll things and the advancement or the vetting and hiring process of the new chief candidates. Police talked about the sale of the last squad. And that money going into the general fund with earmarked that it's gonna be on a budget line. Very high level talk about Wood County and the IT services, which will go to the PIC committee for more. It was also brought to our attention about the rail safety training and having a resolution for that. And with that, I will make a motion to approve resolution 2021-04 for a proclamation for Rail Safety Week in the Village of Port Edwards from 20 to 26 September 2021. This will include village-sponsored rail safety training, messaging, and involve our villagers and school students.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Mansell. Okay, discussion.
This is at no cost to us. It just helps us get into some possible grant things.
Oz, why don't you just give us a.
Yeah, this was CN approached all people along the CN line here, communities and individuals, asking for their support, and what this helps us, like the Vice President said, just gives us a higher level of opportunity to get grants that CN offers for beautification and stuff that they continue to give out. We move up higher on the list if we are supportive of this endeavor.
A lot of these resolutions are what they call feel good, but this one might have some good in it for us later on, so. Okay, any other discussion? John?
Just a question, I just happened to see it. Is the vehicle that Patrick has, is that his or the village?
That's his.
It's
Okay,
his personal vehicle.
so he's got a personal vehicle that says Port Edwards Fire.
It does not.
Doesn't
Doesn't say Port Edwards, it just
It's
says,
fire.
Fire.
Something.
Emergency. He
Okay.
bought it on Wisconsin surplus.
okay, I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
Department neutral.
Okay,
Just read.
all right.
Okay, with that, all those in favor of the resolution as read by Vice President Saylor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. I do have one complaint on it, though.
Yes, sir.
I got held up by the oil train yesterday on my way to a very high-level county meeting. And I ended
Leave
up
earlier.
going back to, at your place, county board met, no. But going back up to Port Road, down to Seneca, and then around. I take it that somewhere down towards New Lisbon or wherever they got the switch, they had to hold up because there's people to train there.
You know, I get those notifications on my phone all the time. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
Well, you need to tell us.
That's pretty normal.
You
I
gotta
was
get
like,
those digital
where's
readout signs going sooner than later, okay? Get
Yes,
that
sir.
on there. And
Get
I
on
would
it.
really like one now by the school at Fifth and Bunker.
Okay, all right.
All right, enough of the jocularity there. Eric, anything else?
Nope, we have no, I lost my train of thought. We're done by whatever time,
Pun
and
intended.
we got another meeting scheduled for next month. That's it.
Chairman Duncan, PIT committee, please.
We met on the 8th of July. We have a motion to approve the certified survey map for the Grand Rapids properties. Has no bearing on us. It's just some sort of legal formality, damn lawyers. So I would move approval of the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Chairman Duncan, second by trustee Grundon. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
And that's basically it, so.
Guys, now a few of these though, some of them have to be officially entered or,
They do. And this one's officially entered, but it's through
but I mean,
Grand
there's
Rapids.
some that need,
Yes. Well, the same process here. So if you look on the sheet that I included in there,
that is
if
correct.
it's truly in the Village of Port Edwards, then we would have a section where we approve it, deny it, we check it against our building codes. And that's what we do for anything here, as well as the Nepco Lake properties that Saratoga manages. This one, however, falls outside closer to 80th Street, way on out there on Grand Rapids. But because of our partnership with Grand Rapids, Saratoga, we have a say in it. And as you see, we mark, CSM does not require local review. We sign it, we just kick it to them. So
It is basically layman's way of looking at it. You don't want a township putting up a shack next to a
Yeah.
$600,000 home out on Nepal Lake, so. Nothing else, Dana?
Yeah, we're Wisconsin, not Florida.
Speaking of Florida, you haven't heard from Miami Beach lately?
No.
Okay, good. Finance and Human Resources, back to the Vice President.
We had a meeting in July. Pretty much the only thing is, Mr. Murray passed his, water or wastewater? Wastewater qualifications, and he has been moved up from grade 3 to grade 5. That's about it. Next meeting, 5 August. That's all I got.
Anybody have any questions for Eric? Okay, Chairman Mansell, Parks and Recreation, please.
All right, we met June 24th. We had our meeting out at Edwards Alexander Park, so we can just kind of look around and see what's going on out there. We discussed the park status, the different, what's going on at the shelter, what's good, what's can be worked on. Major discussion we had was on what to focus on for our parks. I think the consensus was to invest in what we already have and maintain what we have versus buy, because all those park equipments and everything is very, very expensive. So rather spending a bunch of money on equipment, a small piece of equipment, I think we'd all just much rather keep up what we have. I think Boss is going to come up with a list of just maintenance type items to go through. Looks like bathrooms, painting, benches, those types of things that we can kind of get off of our list. I think we're going to try to co-use the tennis court for a pickleball as well at Ripple right now, because again, of a financial, it's expensive to put one of those things in apparently. $35,000 to $50,000 for a pickleball court. So we're going to try to just utilize the tennis court for both pickleball and tennis. We're also going to try to figure out something about a bags or cornhole course at either park as well.
Can I add a cornhole course?
Court.
A
Is that what
court?
it's called? A court?
Yeah, just a pad with the 2 sections
Okay.
built in the
Yeah.
ground, so
Okay.
people don't steal them.
Right.
This is a takeoff of years ago on the farms. They used to have a target on the side of a tractor or on a side of a hay wagon.
I've tailgated, so I've seen them. I know what it is. I'm just like, we've gotten to that point where we have to have permanent structures for these now.
Yes.
Okay. So sorry.
Also discussed the community events. Boz put up some calendars, which I think were pretty good feedback on Facebook, seeing different things going on in the area tomorrow, Thursday. We have our first one. Boz, you want to go into that? Kind of what's going on?
Thursday, starting at 6 to 9 at Ripple Creek at the shelter. A Yellow Pellet is a local band. He actually lives here in Port. 3-man band. They will provide music. A Chatterbox is going to come and be a sponsored food catering truck. They'll be on site for pay, not free. And then the Parents Association is going to sell snacks and drinks around the warming shelter. So bring your own chair. It's no charge. Show up, 3 hours of music and some snacks and food, and we will start our official first event in July, and then we'll do it again in August with a different band, different food truck, so on and so forth. A lot of good feedback on it. Hopefully we'll see the attendance.
Anybody go to the ball game on Saturday night with the Rafters because it was for the dog park?
No. Let's go.
Yeah, I didn't get feedback from them of how much they made, so we'll find out.
How much did they make?
No, they owe me an answer.
Oh.
They were getting the calculation from the Rafters folks.
And then old business, the geese update. Apparently they are all gone. I have not seen any around lately. So that's one reason why we get to have our fun little night over at Ripple, because there's no geese droppings everywhere. We discussed the submission of 2 county grants, one for the dog park and then kayak inputs for the parks. We'll kind of get into them once we figure out what the county says. Next meeting is 29th of July at Ripple Creek this time.
Questions for Betsy? Okay, we will now move on to unfinished business, the feedback of Nepco Lake residents, and then the rest of it is just with the American Rescue Plan. Boz?
So letter, it got a good feedback from all the residents, mostly out of staters for an odd reason, but so they're very interested, they're very receptive. We are trying to schedule, working everyone's schedules for when we can have our first quasi town hall. It's looking like it'll be the end of this month, either the 26th, 27th, I believe, or the third week in August. And I'm just trying to find the biggest density of residents that'll be available. It'll be on site. There's been 3 homes that offered them to host so they can be physically there. So we'll take them up on that. When I lock in a date, we'll see how many trustees want to come. I'll have DNR there to talk about the lake and whatnot. We are going to offer the Pavlovskis the show. They basically came back to me, said, I'm not interested. But that's the biggest issues that we're having right now, they're having, I should say. So we'll see. I'll keep pressuring them. Hey, this is a good opportunity to meet your residents, because that homeowners association will continue even when the village takes over the organization or the site. So I'm very, very happy with the feedback we're getting from them. The American Rescue Plan is just an update where we are either locked in with some financing. We still got pending proposals for the signage and the digital signs, so I don't see those being as expensive as that. That'll bring us back to the FHR to see if we want to reallocate some money. The money is here right now. We physically have the money, so we're good on that. And we'll start executing as you see there, getting things happening. So
Keep going, young man. New business.
New business. We're continuing to work with DMI. They've paid all their back taxes for 2017. They've paid all their water bills. They're caught up with us as a village. The lawsuit from them to the village is supposed to got Mr. Moore with Dominguez acknowledgement that'll end this month, 1 August. And we've already been talking to Dana as well as our lawyers for that lawsuit. So we'll see how it goes. That should go away. There's been no cost to us as a village right now other than our insurance plan was activated, but that doesn't cost anything. We're seeing continuous progress. The biggest project we're working right now, there are about 6 water meters that are not utilized on the property that I'm working with our guys, working with them to extract them from the property because they're just not being used over there. So that's going to be an ongoing project the next couple of weeks. And we initially talked in FHR about this budget process. We'll talk more next week at the special board meeting. We've adjusted some, what you'll have there is an updated memo providing the initial administrator guidance to the departments. And I basically built a calendar for the next 4 months that you can mark up of when we're actually going to have meetings for committees, special meetings, so we can lay it all out and make sure we're all understanding when we're going to meet to talk budget stuff. That's it.
Village administrator, you got it all in.
All right, yeah, nothing, you can scan over the report if I have any questions from you all. No big burning issues there. We're good on vaccines. We're continuing to get good on vaccines. We're good on our budget. Continue to work through that. You see our update for public safety. I will have two vetted candidates for the fire chief on my desk after their August meeting. They're going through the membership committee. They'll kick it to me, and then I will present that to the Police and Fire Commission for discussion or action. They are 2 internal candidates. No one from the outside has applied. I'm scanning over. The loan, we have the money for the sanitation loan. So I'm hoping, well, we should be. At the end of this year, we will be in the positive moving forward. And then we'll continue that way with this inject of cleaning up the deficit.
So after the loan, we'll be in the brown.
We'll be in the brown, yes. Yeah, there's a couple upcoming
Wow.
League of Wisconsin meetings. There's a chief executive meeting in Fond du Lac next month, and then October is the annual conference that is in person. If there's any interest, the president will determine if any trustees want to participate. I'll be participating, but that'll be in Green Bay for about a 3-day window in October. And that is it.
Okay. Clerk treasurer.
Well, I had Ray put this motion on here for me because I was told the Fire Athletic Association was going to fill out an application and turn in the fee for a temporary Class B beer license for the July 27th picnic, but so far no one has done that. So I don't know if we can do a motion to approve it if I don't have an application.
We approve it and I fill it out. We approve it and I fill it out.
Yeah, they're doing it.
It has to be an officer of the Port Edwards Athletic Association, so,
Oh, yeah, so that's what
Yeah.
I mean.
okay.
Well, it is up in the air until they do what they're supposed to do, because we can't give them any more privilege than somebody else.
We can't give something that isn't asked for.
Fine.
Sure.
And this
And
is
the other,
like
only other thing
parenthood.
is we have a special board meeting next week, so if they get it in by next Tuesday.
Would you
maybe
deliver
we can
that for
get it
Diane, that message? Good, we can get it in then. next week.
Officer of the athletic association is anybody that,
President,
on. Apparently there's
secretary.
officers, yeah.
Yeah.
There's usually 4 of them
Or whoever is
listed.
designated by resolution.
Yeah.
So it's usually president or secretary combined, some, depending on bylaws, vice president combined, or they can just say Joe Blow as the.
First base coach.
They just did it for the dance. They know who's got to sign it. Just
Yeah,
get it
I was
to
gonna
us.
say, they can look at the
It's just a
application,
matter.
Don did it last time.
but he's not, I don't know if he's an officer.
Anything else, man?
No, that's it.
Trustee comments? Go ahead, sir.
I have 2 things. I would just like to thank Patrick for his time and service to the fire department. We're in a much better spot because of some of the things he did, and working with him was a pleasure. Second thing is July 27th, going back to possibly getting our beer license. I think it's the 27th.
Mhm.
Is the Lions picnic. Lions were setting that up. They asked us to sell beer there. They're gonna have, I think it's kind of like the Fun Fest deal. There's some signs up, but it's not the Fun Fest. I think there's a car show. There's some other activities, food, beverages, stuff like that. So I just want to remind everybody that it's on a Tuesday from 4 to 8. That's all. The Lions are.
Anybody, John,
Just a question.
sorry about that.
That's okay. Just a question. When I pulled up, I see the building to the west here has a for sale sign on it with a realtor. Is there,
There's no movement on it. He just went back to the realtor that had a sign in there previously.
okay,
There's been no takers. They're keeping us informed.
okay. Just curious what, it's the first time I've seen it, but
Yeah.
it's probably been there a while.
Yeah, it has.
Thank you.
Since this came up for discussion, and what we noticed the last time we were here for a meeting, is someone living down there?
No, we
okay.
check. I send the police
Okay.
there. I'll go
Okay.
by there if I ever see his truck just to chat with him.
Okay,
He does keep stuff there, but
okay,
we haven't really caught him, I should say, physically at night in the process.
okay, just have.
Yeah, so we'll just keep our eyes open.
What was our final offer? 29?
33,
It was
wasn't it?
34.
35.
Oh,
35, yeah.
mid-30s, yeah.
I think that should come down by $1,000 a month.
Yeah, no, it's still on the table. I keep
Okay,
telling him.
all right,
yeah.
thank you.
It's the way I negotiate.
Just get them out of town, right?
No, it's the way I negotiate. I give them $1, they don't mean it, and then I start raising my offer by $1,000 every time they say no. It's amazing how quickly things change.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm sure you don't deal with guys like that.
No, I deal with
You do it?
lawyers. I deal with defense lawyers. No, trust me, no, not a problem.
Yeah, I saw Boz shake his head. I knew I screwed up there, so he's good at that. Okay, take a look on section 13.
Just adjust your village board date to 10 August. Apologize for that. That's a Tuesday. Everything else should be correct. Committee chairs, please tell me otherwise.
No,
Just reminding, I've mentioned it, that it will, for all likelihood, be gone on August 5th.
Eric will be running the 10th meeting because I am not coming back.
I will be here.
It's gonna be one of the best meetings ever.
You what?
Bring dinner.
Probably
Bring
before.
pizza.
You about this little boy, I'm sure it'll go well. He won't have any
That was a
problem.
good one. I like that one.
Meeting. Okay, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
second by Duncan. We're adjourned.
So, no, without internet since Sunday.